Here we are. I can now see people pouring in. I can see the comments in the chat. Lovely to have you all here. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I know that there are people joining us from all around the world for what promises to be, I believe, a particularly special edition of Meetings of Minds, which is our way to kick off 2025 as well. The last time we saw all you good people, I was sat at the head office in Sweden. Several of the team had Christmas jumpers on, and we did a review of the year. We reflected back. In today's installment of Meetings of Minds, we are definitely going to be looking at what we do and how we do it, but also casting an eye forward. It is with huge pleasure I can welcome here today Spiros and Alex from Clianti, who are going to take you through an essential and pioneering aspect of what it is that we do here at Zinzino when it comes to the balance oil, to when we start to look at Revu, and certainly when we start to look at what it is that we do as we move forward. Some of you will know that we've been in partnership with Clianti now for some time, but last year we got invested and far more formally associated with Clianti, which was a huge success for everybody involved. And so without further ado, without me taking up any more of your time and utilizing the essential time we have, I'm going to bring forward two phenomenal people that I've had the privilege of meeting and speaking with prior to today. And I'm going to hand over to them so that they can literally lift the lid on the genuinely incredible pioneering work that they do and have been doing for some time, and inform you all, enlighten you all, and inspire you all. So, Spiros, Alex, please come forward. The floor is yours.
Right. Alexander will be presenting, I would say 95, 96% of our business, and about 4 or 5% it will be me, because if I leave it to me, then will you spend hours and hours talking. So Alex, go ahead.
Okay.
Let's go.
Thank you, Colin, for the introduction. A genuine breakthrough in olive oil, a class of its own. We don't like to boast, honestly, but we represent the olive tree. We like to think that we represent the olive tree, like this one back here, which is 2,000 years old here in Cyprus. And we represent this tree because it has so much to offer, actually, to the consumers, so much more than what the consumers are currently receiving. Also, thank you for everyone who is attending this. We'll do our best to be clear and convey the difference and the special characteristics which our olive oil has. We understand that you, Zinzino partners and people who will be passing this product on to the consumers, we understand that you are an essential part in the chain of conveying what is in this tree, which is fantastic, to the consumers. So thanks for attending. We will split this presentation into 3 parts. The first part is actually a short, we try to keep it short, introduction of us. There's a little bit of background of us and the company. Then we'll go straight to the olive oil itself. We'll talk about the molecules. We'll talk about special analyses that we've done on the olive oil, and also how you yourself can see for yourself, using your senses, how this olive oil is really pure and potent. And then we will talk for a short time on how we do it, the actual process. So before I share the first slide, we like to kind of explain that the big shame right now in terms of olive oil is that industrialization of the production of olive oil has focused more on the financial benefit and the volume being produced rather than the quality and the health benefits. Industrialization, the currently widely used machinery, which is used to produce olive oil, has starved the consumers of the true benefits of or what this olive tree has to offer. So, bear with me while I share this slide. Yes, there's a here we can meet the team. This is by team I mean Kleanthi, Alpha Olenik, and we have Spiros and Zakaria, who are the grandsons. They are the third generation of this this side of the business, and they are an integral part of the harvesting season when it comes to operating the line. So, and now for the next slide. So how did this all start? How did this business start? The olive tree has much more to offer than what the olive oil consumers are getting. There is so much goodness and benefits in this tree. Unfortunately, the consumers are not receiving it. So by rethinking and redesigning from scratch major parts of the olive oil processing line, we've managed to take olive oil back to its original powerful state. Hippocrates, the ancient Greek, he called olive oil the great healer. But I ask everyone here, when someone has a virus, or when someone has a joint pain, or a skin burn, an infection, who of us reaches for the olive oil bottle? And I would pretty much guess that almost none of us do. However, we are very grateful to say that we do. We reach for the olive oil bottle. How it all started was based on two questions by Spiros, who you can see sitting by this tree on his iPad, trying to unlock the mysteries and the secrets of the olive tree. Two questions arose, and this is how it all started. The first question was, how does an olive tree survive for 2,000 years, which is the age of this olive tree, and still bear fruit and oil, having survived drought, flood, severe heat, ultraviolet rays, strong sunshine, sub-zero temperatures, and even fire? Olive trees can be burnt and then regenerate. They're a powerful tree. Also, parasites, insects, and microbial infections. How can this tree survive through all this? That's the first question. The second question is, why is it that when you pick an olive from the olive tree, if it's early harvest or medium or late harvest, and if you eat it, it's so potent in phytocompounds that you can't eat an olive from the tree. It is very bitter, and it is astringent, which means that it dries up your mouth. So the question was, why is the olive so potent, and yet the olive oil is so relatively weak? And Spiros, with his special relationship with machines, with his background, he knew that the reason that the olive oil we have these days is relatively weak is because of the process. And he knew also that the reason for the longevity of the olive tree is its phytoalexins, its defense chemicals, which we try to collect and protect and put in the oil. So I hope I'm running okay on time. This introduction section should be just a few minutes. I'll pass it over to Spiros now, who will introduce, give a very brief background of himself.
Right. Thank you. Let me see. You can see me, I guess, Alexander. Yes.
Yes, and him.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity to share with you my enthusiasm, my passion, and creativity into delivering to our customers the gifts that an olive tree has preserved for thousands of years. Right. So here are some of the nations that I have participated specifically in the peanut industry. So I have spent most of my career in the peanut industry. I have built and consulted for huge processing factories in these countries as shown. And most of them are still in operation. But in the first, you can see the Cyprus flag is right up the top. But in all of my inventions, I am most excited and passionate in our olive oil patent. And that is really, for me, that's the most important thing that at this current time. The second slide, actually, you can see the top factory that we built in Argentina. But more important, because of the various patents I've created, there is huge operations in the States, in Argentina, and it's endless. So I'm more excited really than ever before from any of my inventions and creativity with this olive oil. There is huge potentials, absolutely huge potentials.
Recording in progress.
Okay. Thank you,
Alex.
Yeah, thanks for this the background. And I've worked alongside my dad since I was a teenager. A great mentor, utterly, and I'm not boasting when I say this, utterly gifted when it comes to designing, visualizing, conceptualizing, and fabricating machines as well. The last part of this introduction, I won't go through it line by line. Suffice to say that in 2017 we had a few liters of olive oil. In 2018 I think we had 1,000 or 2,000 liters. In 2019 we had again a couple of thousand, and we had to upscale in 2020 when we started to supply Zinzino. We had to enlarge the main, rebuild and enlarge the components of the line, and we have we have significant capacity now. Perhaps on one shift per season we can do 70,000-80,000 liters, and the future is promising, God willing, because we built this line once, and if we need more capacity we can build another one. Okay, so after this we will go now to the oil. We'll go now to the oil.
Okay, it's 14 minutes gone, Alexander. Okay.
14, okay, thanks. Regarding the oil, you can use your own sensors to test the difference. We do encourage people to compare the oil that they may have, the olive oil they may have in their house, and a sample of Revu oil. The first thing you'll notice perhaps is the aroma. Where you have a strong aroma, you have those volatile compounds which give the olive oil its fruity and olive green smell. These compounds are delicate, and they are the first to degrade. They are the first to spoil. So if you have a good aroma, a strong aroma, then you have an oil which is an olive oil which is intact and fresh.
They are the first ones to degrade.
Yeah, the first ones to degrade. So a good sign of a good potency is the aroma. Next is the bitterness. The bitterness is caused by oleoeuropein, which is a polyphenol. It's the main active ingredient in olive leaf extract. used traditionally in medicinally for a long time. So this bitterness is a positive attribute, a positive thing in the oil. The more bitter, the better. Then after swallowing the olive oil, you should experience to a certain degree the throat burn, which is called pungency. This throat burn is caused by oleocanthal, which is a polyphenol. It is very sought after by sommeliers and connoisseurs of olive oil. All of these three are positive attributes which olive oil experts, they look for. It should have a good aroma, strong, it should be bitter, and it should be pungent. This pungency or throat burn, by the way, a peppery sensation at the back of the throat, it can be quite intense, can cause you to cough, can even cause your eyes to tear up. But don't worry, it passes quickly. It's all good. The mouthfeel of the texture of the olive oil is fine and not thick. And we recommend everyone to get their hands on some Revu oil and put it on their plate of warm food, where from the heat of the food, the volatiles will jump up, the aromas will spread, and your meal is transformed and enhanced. So, of course, we don't rely on our senses to quantify our olive oil. We do laboratory analyses, and that's what we'll talk about next. We take the analyses very seriously. We take our sampling very seriously. It's our research. It's our eyes on what's happening inside the oil. It's essential to us. We do basic analyses. We do basic analyses such as acidity, polyphenols, peroxide. We test for triterpenes and vitamins. One of the key points here is that when we sample our olive oil, we sample it as a composite representative sample, which means that the sample which we take represents our entire batch. On the other hand, there's a lot of trickery going on where a producer will select the best olive oil, a small batch, and say that this represents the entire batch. That's dishonest. So I'll go ahead now to the next analysis sheet.
That's 18 minutes, Alexander.
Okay. Right. So we have to move fast. The oleum analysis uses ultra high pressure liquid chromatography, UHPLC, specifically to quantify two important polyphenols. They are hydroxytyrosol and tyrosol. These two polyphenols are the polyphenols which must be in the oil in order to use the EFSA health claim, which is olive oil polyphenols contribute to the protection of blood lipids from oxidative stress. This health claim, approved by EFSA, is only for olive oil. The minimum amount of these two polyphenols, which must be in the oil to use the claim, is 250 ppm, parts per million. Our 2024 harvest has over 1,000. And we have actually achieved many thousands of ppm previous harvests.
Some additional information is a minimum 250 ppm per kilogram of oil.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, parts per million.
Parts per million.
Yeah.
Per kilogram of oil.
Okay.
Okay.
So we don't stop at these relatively basic analyses. We go further. We dive deeper. We sent our we sent our olive oil to the Kurtz Institute, and we did 2 tests. One of them is the cellular antioxidant activity. The other one is oxygen radical absorbance capacity. Regarding the CAA, it quantifies the antioxidant activity inside the cell after these antioxidants have crossed the cell membrane. We had a report done, and this is where we discovered ourselves that actually our process is entirely different, and we were very surprised. The technician at the laboratory asked us, what have we put in our oil? We said nothing. No, that's the whole point. The whole point is that the olive tree has a lot of, is very potent. And that's our mission, is to deliver what is in the olive tree to the oil, to the consumers. The results of the CAA, the average olive oil was 10. The key figure is 10. It's micromoles of quercetin equivalent per 100 milliliters, but the key figure is 10. We analyzed 3 samples, not just 1 but 3, and our average was around 700, which is 70 times the antioxidants available inside the cell compared to with a standard processed olive oil. This was very significant, and this score was actually higher than an antioxidant supplement, which was made from olive extracts. So our olive oil had a higher cellular antioxidant activity score than a antioxidant supplement. This
hydroxytyrosol, actually.
Yeah, it was based on hydroxytyrosol, yeah.
Yeah.
This proves to us the purity and the potency and the difference in our process. The ORAC it measures, the ORAC analysis measures the ability of the oil to neutralize reactive oxidant species. So it's its antioxidant capacity, let's say. And again, to compare with many samples of standard processed EVU, the score was around 400, the key figure being 400. And it's Trolox equivalent per 100 milliliters, micromoles of Trolox equivalent per 100 milliliters. Good luck to the translators with that one. But the key figure is 400. And our 3 samples measured an average of 1,700, which equals 4 times the antioxidant capacity for free radical scavenging power. This triggered us to look further and deeper into it. So we took a deep dive here, and we're going to dive slightly deeper now. It gets a bit technical, but we will convey the main idea.
These are the mysteries, really, that what an olive tree has hidden for thousands of years. So here's the next step. Let's go.
So we want to convey to you basically that there are no polyphenols in our olive oil. There are lipophenols in our olive oil. Because what has happened, perhaps this slide is better, yeah. What has happened is that the oleic acid has combined with the polyphenol and produced a lipophenol. So the lipophenol is the combination of a polyphenol and a lipid. Here we have a comparison. The polyphenols have low bioavailability, relatively low, poor oxidative stability. They are hydrophilic, which means they are attracted to water and repelled by fats. And they have relatively low therapeutic value compared to lipophenols. Lipophenols, on the other side here, are, you can see it on the slide, they have higher bioavailability, good stability. They are amphiphilic, which is very significant. They are not hydrophilic, they are amphiphilic, which means they have a hydrophilic head and a hydrophobic tail, and they have much higher therapeutic value. We recommend everyone to read up on olive lipophenols. These lipophenols are bound together in our process, and they are sustained in our process. They are not destroyed. However, we strongly suppose that the formation and the survival of these lipophenols in standard processing is inhibited, very much reduced. So this was the reason, actually, this proved to us the purity and potency of our olive oil. And it was the reason really for our very high cellular antioxidant activity score, which is good news for everyone. Now we will take a quick view of the actual polyphenols without the oleic acid tail. So these is just the polyphenol molecules. Hydroxytyrosol is said to be the most powerful plant-derived antioxidant. There's been a lot of research in it. Some of the notable points is that its ability to cross the blood-brain barrier. There's been positive research in anti-neurodegenerative diseases. And what's important is that these two antioxidants and polyphenols are the ones which are concerned with the EFSA health claim that olive polyphenols help prevent blood lipid oxidation. The next two polyphenols is oleuropein. Oleuropein is an antioxidant. It's the reason for the bitterness in the olive oil. So the more bitter it is, the more oleuropein there is in the oil. Again, it's the main active compound in olive leaf extract, a well-known traditional therapeutic medicine. Now for oleocanthal, again, it is an antioxidant. Research suggests it has anti-inflammatory properties. And we had the opportunity to speak to one scientist called Limor Goren, who made cancer research based on oleocanthal research. And indeed, it was shown, and we can share lots of these research papers with anyone who wants them. Indeed, it has the ability to cause apoptosis of cancerous cells while leaving healthy cells healthy. Oleocanthal is the reason that for the throat burn and the pungency after drinking some olive oil. So the more throat burn, the more oleocanthal there is. We don't stop at polyphenols. There are triterpenes, pentacyclic triterpenes. Good luck, translators. Pentacyclic triterpenes in the olive oil, which is significant. Squalene is very significant for us. Squalene is an antioxidant. In studies, it shows it has the ability to release oxygen into the blood. It's well known in the cosmetic formulation industry. It's actually produced in our own body. We produce squalene, but much more so when we are young and much less so when we progress. What is significant about squalene is that it is used as an adjuvant in vaccines to stimulate the immune system. So vaccines, when they use an adjuvant in them, which is squalene, to stimulate the immune response. We have approximately 5,000 ppm or milligrams per kilogram of squalene in the olive oil. Vitamin E is well known. There's also an EFSA health claim related to vitamin E. So we go onwards to another molecule, which is of course the omega-9 oleic acid. Approximately 70% of the olive oil is oleic acid. It is a monounsaturated fatty acid, so it has the ability to redress the omega-369 or omega-3/6 balance. It also has two EFSA-approved health claims with it. One of them states that replacing saturated fats in the diet with unsaturated fats contributes to the maintenance of normal blood cholesterol levels. And there's another, so altogether, in this olive oil, there are these individual compounds, but as it says, it's great by itself. But when you take it together with other like in food, or specifically with omega-3, which we'll come to, the synergies are definitely there. One significant synergy is the increase of the absorption of lycopene, which is the redness in tomatoes. When it is consumed with olive oil, these compounds are better absorbed. So also, of course, it greatly increases the antioxidant value of your meal. You don't have to put much of this Revo oil on. It has, as we saw before with the ORAC, very, very potent in antioxidants, and it really tastes fantastic. It really tastes as the older generations used to experience. We actually had feedback one time from a very elderly lady in a village here in Cyprus. And when she tried our oil, it's reported that she said, "This takes me back to my childhood." So that's not the first time we've heard that comment as well. So something really different here. Of course, I'm sure that all the Zinzino partners know very well about the synergy of omega-3 and polyphenols or lipophenols, that the synergy is far more than the sum of their parts. And this is the reason why Zinzino and Cleante Alpha Olenic are together, because of this synergy. And what I'm no expert in science, but what I understand is that the synergy of omega-3 and polyphenols is that the absorption of DPA and EPA is enhanced and increased. And of course, the antioxidant capacity of the olive oil protects the omega-3 fatty acids from oxidizing, and they are very susceptible to oxidation. So it's really a great synergy, and that's the whole reason why we are together, and we are happy for that. If there's any comments or questions, please pass them to Dr. Colin. If there's any comments from Colin or Spiros, welcome.
I've just got one question. There's been a few questions and comments, but you've actually, Alex, you've covered some of that, and I feel like that's where you're going. But if you don't mind for a moment, just going back a little bit, because obviously at the start you discussed this 2,000-year-old olive tree, which is remarkable. And somebody asked the question, climate change, and has that affected the olive oil production in any way?
Alex, you better answer.
Well, here in Cyprus, of course, we saw last year, no, in 23, we saw pretty severe drought. We also saw like severe weather, like fires in Greece. And this certainly affected the price of olives, the supply, and therefore the price of olives. So I would certainly say a yes, that it has affected the olive oil. I mean, it's a natural crop, so it's subject to climatic conditions. And but as we said, this 2,000-year-old tree has survived through 2,000 years of climatic variations. So so we're betting on the right tree here.
Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah.
So no, I think the other questions, it feels that you've either answered them, or as I can see now, we're going to steer into them. So please Alex, back to you.
Okay, thanks.
35 minutes, Alexander.
Okay, okay. So the key takeaway here is that the oil by itself, as olive oil, before being mixed with anything and before being ingested, the olive oil by itself is very pure. It has unique potency and unique oxidative stability. This is really the key difference in the olive oil. Potency in all of the phytochemicals, purity meaning it's not spoiled by the process, and oxidative stability meaning that it has what they call shelf life of well over 2 years, which we have proved. So how do we do it? This is there's one more point about scientific research, which there's tons of. As we said, we are happy to share from our collected library over almost 10 years of published papers. What I find significant is that in clinical trials, high phenolic olive oil at around 350 parts per million had its positive effects, positive results in clinical trials. So what about an olive oil which has well over 1,000 ppm and has very increased bioavailability? We're very keen to do further research ourselves. How do we do it? We start the third and last part of this presentation, and we'll have to go through it relatively quickly. Unfortunately, we cannot share videos or pictures of our machines. They are proprietary technology. We can describe the process and the differences. So let's do that. We have basically redefined the olive mill. We have radically rethought and redesigned and built from scratch. The design is geared to collect and protect the maximum amount of phytochemical compounds in the olive fruit without damaging them. To collect and protect the maximum amount of available phytochemical compounds. It's actually very rare to have a patent on a process as well established as olive oil pressing. Okay. As a kind of a side note, it's purely mechanical, and we don't use any chemicals. That would be cheating. We also don't add anything to the olive oil. This is purely what is in the tree. A unique oil because of the unique process. Here's our toolkit. Here is what we did from 2015 until 2019. And it's also ongoing. My father, incredible, and I'm not boasting here, incredible engineer, and conceptualized the line. So we bought all of these items and a whole load more, and we got to work. It was great fun. It was huge challenges to build machines from scratch. We have lots of, let's say, obsolete models. But in 2018, we achieved based on the patent, we achieved the prototype, the pilot line. And based on the patent, we fabricated 8 key parts of the processing line, and some of which are entirely unique and one of a kind. So that was really great fun, and the fun continues. Now we will go through, from start to finish, we will follow the olive. And as my dad says, in order to understand the process and to kind of design the process of an olive, you have to pretend that you are one. So you will be going through those machines, you will be going up those bucket elevators, and etc., etc. So we start the journey of the olive at the farm. Significant is that all of our olives are certified organic, because organic is stronger, more healthy, and clear and clean, of course. we use Koroneki cultivar, which is a cultivar, an ancient cultivar only used for oil. The oil is known to be strong and very fine. We do not have our own olive trees, so we are not bound to use our olive trees, our olives. We get to select from the best of the Cypriot crop. We go to the farmers, we visit them in late summer, we discuss with them and look at their trees, we check their certification, and we pick the best. When they arrive at the factory, they go for dry cleaning to remove sticks, stones, leaves, and then they go for wet cleaning. This wet cleaning part of the process is unique to us. It's built by us, and it gives the olives a shower of fresh, warm water. This removes the surface contaminants and pollutants, so that by the time they go for pressing, they are clean and clear. The difference here in the wet cleaning process is that standard process is to give them a bath. But as you can imagine, lots of olives from the farm go into a bath. The bath water will become dirty, and microbes will populate that water. So we give it a shower. Very significant from this point onwards is that our entire process is continuous. Continuous process has many advantages over a batch process. And this is another unique aspect of our process, that it is continuous. After the olives are clean, it goes for milling. It has to be crushed. And we do this anaerobically, which means that we don't introduce, we control the oxygen, which is introduced into the slurry. You can see the slurry on the left. We also managed to devise a way to crush the flesh of the olive, but not the stone, because in crushing the stone or the pit of the olive, you release an enzyme which degrades the oil. So we overcame a pretty difficult hurdle in crushing the flesh, but not crushing the pit or the stone in the olive.
This enzyme in the pits, actually, it degrades not only the oil, but the polyphenols. There's a lot of documentation on that.
Right. So the next part, once it's crushed, it has to go for mixing or malaxing or into the bioreaction chamber. The industry calls it malaxation, but it's a lot more sophisticated than that in our case. It's our continuous enzymatic bioreaction chamber. Here, the polyphenols are developed, and the combination of the lipids and the polyphenols happens by means of esterification. We control the temperature, the time, and the oxygen levels, and we also control the mixing, the degree of mixing. This is a very unique system, and it's one of our pride and joys. So next, after it's been mixed and we have the polyphenols, we still have the slurry. The slurry consists of the liquids and the solids all together. So it goes for the next stage, which is separation. We separate the liquids, which is the olive oil and the olive water, and the solids. What's significant in the solids is that it goes for compost. It also goes for biofuel heating. It is quite unique to our process. Other standard processes, it's very difficult to get something which is ready within 6 months of breaking down to be used as a compost. We've tested this compost for elements, phosphorus, nitrogen, and potassium, and it has significant levels of these elements. So it's very good to put back to the soil what the olives took from the soil. So we are happy with that.
Just a small information here. over the years, 3 to 4 years, because the stones themselves, they don't decompose, but they create a UV and water evaporation blanket, which is quite significant, actually. We are on test at the moment, but that's the result of the stones not being biodegradable, the stones themselves. Okay?
Yeah. They call it mulch, where they put this the layer on top of the soil in order to protect it from the UV and protect it from evaporation.
45 minutes, Alex.
Yeah. So what is very significant in this step of the process, the solid liquid separation, is that we do not use centrifugation. We do not bind and emulsify the water and the oil, because binding the water and the oil, as in standard process, it prevents the binding of polyphenols and lipids. Also, to compare with standard processing, we do not add any water, which causes hydrolysis, which damages the oil. Also, we do not add any air bubbles, micro air bubbles, so we don't have that damaging oxidation. Once we have the liquids, you see on the left side, we have the liquid, which is olive oil and olive water. It goes for the next step, which is the liquid separation. Again, we use gentle forces, not harsh mechanical forces, which protects the phyto compounds. It's an enclosed system, and we don't add any damaging process aid like water. On the left, you see the olive juice. There's a lot of potential with the olive juice, and they are under development, so watch out for that one. On the right, we have
a clip here, Alexander, very quickly. For me, I always said that our olive oil is the peak of the iceberg, and the water juice, the pure olive water juice, is the true iceberg. So we are very, very excited indeed about the olive water. Go ahead.
Yeah. So the olive oil goes for some settlement in our self-made tanks, which is based on the ancient Greek amphora design. And so then after it is settled, it goes for some basic filtration, where we remove tiny particles of olive flesh. And after the filtration, it is ready for packing. We use our bulk packing, which is protects it from, we don't trap any oxygen in there. Also, we don't trap any, it doesn't let any UV light inside. Load it up onto the container, ship it, and it arrives to you in your Revu bottle. And the Revu bottle, incidentally, is a special type of glass. So we save that piece of information. That's the end of the presentation. What we really want to convey is that the olive tree produces a whole lot more than what people are getting. This is our mission, to collect and protect these phytochemicals and deliver them to the consumer. Thanks for listening. Over to you.
Fantastic. That has been so insightful, really, from ancient history all the way through up until the end product and in people's hands. We've got a few minutes, and there's been a few questions. I know people have been on here asking if they can access a recording and if they're going to be able to access notes. The recording for sure. And I apologize because I normally say at the start of these sessions, grab a notebook and a pen and be ready. So hopefully you have taken some notes. But
we can share the slide, and we have some prepared notes which we'll just tidy up, and we can share them. Give us some time and we'll do that, no problem. And we can also share research papers for anyone who's interested to read up on this research.
Fantastic. Well, we've got a few moments, so I just want to ask a couple of questions that have popped in. And some of these are similar to the type of questions we get. And the first one is research related. is, do you have any research that looks at in vitro or in vivo studies that looking at the context of this?
We have ourselves the CAA, as I understand, Dr. Colin, that you know better than me, that this is an in vitro test. It uses live cell culture, so that's considered in vitro. Regarding ourselves to do research, as we know, the cost is very significant, so that's coming up. That should be in the future. We have had interest from various very significant parties, such as Oxford University in UK, to do research. However, there is so much research done already out there that there's an abundance of research of all types, clinical trials, in vivo, in vitro. Yeah.
Fantastic. Superb. Thank you for that. And the second one is about, this comes up a lot, and it comes up a lot about balance oil. And I think this is a real opportunity to get your take on this, is Totox. So can you make a comment on this oil and the Totox value, score, grade? Please make a comment on that.
Totox is measured, well, I think that the ORAC is, what is Totox?
Total oxidation value. And we get asked this a lot. I mean, I can comment here. When you start to look at this, when you start to look at the actives of it, and this is where the message gets confused because of, let's say, other misinformation that's out there. A Totox, when you look at total oxidation, and when you start to look at it when it's a combined product, which is omega-3 plus the olive oil, is going to be altered, because actually what looks like a poor score is reflective of how active the polyphenol or the lipophenols are. And so I guess the question here is being misled by what people think Totox is. But I guess maybe the question is about those lipophenols and the scoring of that, and maybe the degradation rate of those.
So Totox is a measure of how much the product is oxidized, or how much antioxidant capacity it has.
It's neither. That's interesting.
Okay.
It's a misleading reference. We can pick this up on another session, because Totox gets quite complex. But I think that really what's behind that question is about, and you made reference to it, which was the lifespan, the 2-year of the actives. Someone else commented that if it's slightly out of date, can they still consume it? What would your comment be on that?
Yeah, actually, it's very significant. We did some tests, and we checked it after different time periods. Our olive oil, one was 6 months, one was 9 months. We have a test 20 months after production. 20 months after production, and we sent it to the same lab, and they did the acidity test, and it was low, well within extra virgin, less than 0.8. Now, significant is the peroxide, how much it has oxidized, and it was still low, well less than 20, well within the extra virgin parameters. What's also significant is that the polyphenols were around 2000 ppm, which goes to show that the chain reaction of oxidation in the olive oil was, if not, it was super slow. And this is after 20 months of production. And I kind of put the challenge out there for someone to, in around August, when olive oil is a good 9 months old, go to the shops, take a bottle of the most recent olive oil, and check the aroma. Check for yourself, and then check against Revo oil or the balance oil. This is really where the difference is, the oxidative stability.
And in a strange way, you've kind of answered the Totox question. So thank you very much for that, Alex.
Yeah, great.
I just want to put it out there. People from different places focus this notion on Totox. One, because in my opinion, they don't understand it. And secondly, they really have misrepresented what it actually means. And your description there of how well the Revu holds up over that 20 months and how long it remains so highly functional and effective really blows all that argument out the way.
Excellent.
So thank you. We've literally got maybe one question left, if that's all right, whilst I have you.
Sure.
There's tons of questions. I knew there would be. I apologize because we can't answer them all. I am trying to look at ones that I think are going to have the biggest relevance for the most people. So here's an interesting one. Can we assume that standard olive oil production processing always mills the olive stones accidentally?
I'm sure my dad is technically capable of answering that one.
To how it was not designed, I have to be completely honest. It was not designed, but in the equipment that we have developed, it is a continuous pressurized extrusion, if you want to call it. And because the olives are under pressure extruded, so it happened is not by design. I'm repeating myself. It just, we were surprised, 95, 98% of the olive stones, they don't break.
Yeah. In general,
there was some sort of destiny.
In standard processing, here you can see the actual stones, most of which are whole.
Yeah.
That's kind of proof.
A lot of people ask me, you don't break it. And I just explained to him, I did not design really the machine in order not to break the stones.
But in a hammer mill, which is standard used, the stones are broken?
Yes, 80%.
Okay, so there's the answer really. In standard olive mill, where they use a hammer mill, according to Spiros, 80% of the stones are broken.
Yeah.
That's a huge difference.
Yeah.
Huge difference. Listen, we could ask questions all day, but we've literally got to wrap this session up today. There's been so many comments and questions, and as we knew, people would be fascinated with this. Spiros, Alex, you've expertly taken us through this. It's been such an insight. So to everybody who's here, and we were close to 800 people at one point today, which is incredible turnout. Thank you all for dedicating your time to be here with us today, to listen to us. Spiros, Alex, huge thanks to you, not just for today, but for all you do, the strength, the credibility, the quality that you bring to what we do at Zinzino. This partnership means so much to us. It's one of those defining characteristics that literally sets us apart from everybody else in the world. So thank you for today. Thank you for all that you do. We're looking forward to the future. And to all you people at home, stay well, be well, look after each other, and we will see you in 2 months' time at the next outing of the Meetings of Minds. And until then, all the best. We will see you further down the road.